If you're a man over 40 and your belly fat isn't going anywhere, whether you're exercising or not, this video explains exactly what works. Most men think that belly fat is just about more effort, more workouts, harder training, eating less, but after 40, that approach often backfires. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to lose belly fat, whether you're 40, 50, or 60 plus. Not with extremes, but by fixing things that block progress. This isn't about motivation or discipline unless you're trying to get below 10% body fat, which is extreme and not necessarily healthy or sustainable. And this video is not about that. This video is about optimizing your health. And stay with me to the end because the final step covers the key tests to look at if you're doing everything right but not seeing results. Tests that are often missed in a standard medical checkup. This is a simple 5-step plan, and for most men, fixing the first step alone can make a massive difference. Step 1. Before we talk about workouts, diet changes, we need to deal with the biggest blocker to fat loss for men. And for most men, that blocker is chronic stress combined with poor recovery, even if they're training regularly. Here's what that often looks like. Pushing too hard in the gym, sleeping less than 7 hours a night, high stress at work, drinking alcohol in the evenings to unwind, or not eating enough protein, especially for your body size. You may not be doing all of these, but even one or two can slow down progress. Here's why this matters. Chronic stress raises cortisol, and cortisol directly suppresses testosterone, leading to lower testosterone, which accelerates muscle loss, and this can shift into fat storage in the belly. High cortisol will also increase insulin levels, making it difficult to burn fat. In men, belly fat is often the result of muscle loss, not overeating, often from an imbalance in your hormones. So if step 1's not addressed, it just becomes another stressor if you're training hard. And this is where I see men get the best results. When my clients stabilize this system first, sleep, stress, cutting alcohol or reducing it, and better recovery, fat loss often starts even before changing workouts or calories. Aim for a consistent sleep and wake time, even on weekends. Irregular sleep alone can raise cortisol and lower testosterone. If fat loss is your goal, try a no alcohol month or limit to 1 to 2 drinks a week. Alcohol directly interferes with testosterone, sleep, and fat metabolism. Most men over 40 simply aren't eating enough protein to preserve muscle mass. Protein protects your metabolism. If you're constantly sore or exhausted, reduce the volume for a few weeks. Recovery improves fat loss more than intensity when you're over 40. So this might mean fewer late nights and getting more sleep, reducing down the exercise and just walking more. For many men, belly fat starts to shift when these basic things has changed and everything's stabilized, even before focusing on workouts and calories. Step 2. Use exercise that supports testosterone levels. Exercise can be a double-edged sword as you get older. Done well, it preserves muscle mass, improves insulin sensitivity, supports testosterone. Done poorly, it elevates cortisol, suppresses testosterone, and makes belly fat more stubborn. What most men often get wrong as they get older is that intensity always equals better results. This might have been the case when you were 20, but not when you're over 40 or 50. Strength training is non-negotiable, but the amount matters more than the maximum effort. 2, 3, 4 strength training sessions is more than enough for most men. You don't want to do any more than that. Otherwise, it can affect your recovery. And you don't need to train to failure every time you train. The goal should be stimulating your muscles and not punishing. Daily walking is also hugely overrated. Walking just lowers cortisol levels more so than in high intensity exercise. It improves insulin sensitivity and supports fat loss without stressing out the nervous system. For many men, walking does more for belly fat loss than adding another workout. High intensity training has its place, but this should only be like once a week, especially high intensity interval training. And if stress, sleep, or recovery are poor, it's better to pause high intensity training for a few weeks and to get that under control. High intensity training should be added in after the nervous system's stable and you've got good recovery. Step 3. When you're trying to lose belly fat, you want to also make sure that you protect your muscle mass, otherwise it's going to backfire. And anabolic resistance increases as we age. Testosterone declines and the need for protein rises. So aggressive dieting, fasting can often accelerate muscle loss, slowing down your metabolism. So you might get short-term results and then rebound weight gain. When muscle goes down, belly fat becomes easier to regain. And this is why many men see the scale drop, but their waist doesn't. So what you need to prioritize is more protein. And for most men, getting around 1.5 to 2 grams of protein a day per kilo of body weight is essential. That level of protein helps preserve muscle mass, supports metabolism, and it leaves you not feeling hungry and looking for food all day. You don't need to track everything you eat, but tracking your protein for a few days can be helpful just so you understand how much protein you're eating in a day. You might have one great protein meal, but that's not enough. You need to balance it out throughout the day. So just track for a few days, otherwise it becomes boring or obsessive, and you'll get an understanding of how much protein you're eating after a few days of tracking. The second priority is consistent regular meals. This means avoiding chronic restriction or fasting. After 40, your body responds better to steady input than extremes. Things like intermittent fasting can be trending and also get great results, but this should only be part of your strategy. For most men, doing intermittent fasting 1 to 2 days a week is enough. Any more than that can affect the stress levels and backfire. So focus on 3 meals a day and maybe 1 or 2 days where you do intermittent fasting and skip breakfast or dinner. And if stress levels are high, sleep is poor, or your training intensity is high, you want to skip fasting because your body needs nutrition. Fasting should support recovery and not just become another stress. Step 4. If progress stalls, most men do the same thing. They just push harder. And that usually more high intensity training, longer workouts, more fasting, more calorie restriction. But that's just going to raise cortisol levels, suppress testosterone, and lead to that belly fat gaining. If you're not seeing progress, it can be a good time to reduce training or mix it up a little bit. Make sure you're tracking your sleep and getting good 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep, waking up feeling refreshed. And if things aren't changing, step 5 is something you might need to do. If you've done steps 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you're still having trouble shifting belly fat, reducing weight, this is when testing becomes important. The things I would get checked are your insulin levels, A1C, and blood sugar. Most doctors will check glucose, but fasting insulin is not part of a standard test. And often A1C, which is a measurement of your glucose over 3 months, is often missed. Visceral fat is tightly linked to insulin resistance, even in men who may not look overweight. You also want to check your testosterone levels, both total and free. And to do that, you need to check sex hormone binding globulin as well. Low testosterone can make it harder to lose weight because it's harder to build muscle and improve your metabolism. Also check estrogen, because you could be converting testosterone to estrogen and have high estrogen, which also makes it easier to gain fat, especially around the belly and the breast area. It's also good to check cortisol levels. A blood test is not that great for cortisol though. It can give you a snapshot of just one particular time, but the best way to check adrenal function and cortisol levels throughout the day is with the Dutch hormone test or the Vibrant Wellness Hormone Zoomer. This measures both total and free cortisol throughout the day, plus the sex hormones, so you can get a detailed analysis of your hormones and how they may be affecting metabolism. It's also good to check your liver markers, ALT, AST, and also GGT. Visceral fat and fatty liver often go hand in hand, and liver stress will make fat loss harder. So losing belly fat isn't about looking good, although that sometimes helps. For men, untreated visceral fat will lead to high levels of diabetes, heart disease, erectile dysfunction, cognitive decline, loss of strength, and as you age, you can lose independence. So making sure that you have good muscle mass and body fat percentage now, it's not just about looking good, it's about protecting your health in the long term. So as you can see, losing fat is not about trying harder or working harder, it's just doing things smarter, getting the diet right, getting the exercise right, and most importantly, reducing down stress levels. I'll leave links to the tests I mentioned in the show notes below, and in the description I'll have a link to a detailed article on how you can lose belly fat. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below and let me know what's worked best for you in the comments.